It's quite an honor and pleasure to be here. And I can just say that life offers lots of coincidences. And as I think about Jessica, several come to mind. I first met Jessica Huntley a number of years ago. I had at that particular time been a senior teacher at the county high school, which was run under the UC Quayana. And one day, UC sought me out, and he said, I want to introduce you to someone. That someone was Jessica Huntley. We spoke, of course we spoke of publishing, because at that time I had started to establish a new part of my life. I had started to publish poetry. I'd been well known in certain poetic circles, and the UC thought that it should be fitting for me to meet with Jessica, who was a potential publisher. A little while after that, another coincidence occurred. Because here it was, I was meeting someone who was actually beginning to do what I had started in Buxton. I had just published a book called Underground. It was a collection of revolutionary poetry of the time, of the 70s. The poetry of Ernest Berry, the poetry of Dennis Canterbury, the poetry of Malcolm Ferreira, Cromwell, and several others, including myself, Kwame Apata. I just published that book called Underground. And so I met Jessica, but a few days after that, Walter Rodney paid me a visit. And Walter said, Michael, get your work together, get your stuff together. I'm going up to London, and I'd like to read your stuff at Jessica Huntley's bookstore. So I said, oh yes. He said, and you'll be paid for it. I said, what? Wonderful. I mean, I'd been told before by poets, you know, quite a few wonderful poets, you know, well-renowned poets, that I was making headway as a poet, whatever that meant. And so I got together this stuff, and I gave it to Walter. I'm pleased to say that the person who introduced me just now, Elisa, is also part of that coincidence. She's the first person who typed my poetry. Quite a young lass, going to Bishop's High School. QC, sorry. QC. And she took up the challenge. She came one day and she said, let me type these things. And she collected them, took them home, and she typed them out. But Jessica had made an impact on me, as Walter had when he went and he read the poetry at Jessica Huntley's bookstore. And I always had that offer in mind that one day she would publish me. Now, I went on to be published by Macmillan, I went on to be published by Longman, I went on to be published by Heinemann. And then I stopped and I said, I don't want to be published by English, American, German, or whatever publishers. I'll publish my work myself, or Jessica Huntley one day will publish it. I went to America and enforced exile and started to live there, where I made contact with Chauncey. I think Chauncey was living in Queens. So I called him up and I said, Chauncey, you think Bogle Overture ready to publish some work? Because I have published some books here and I would like to give it a wider distribution. And only Jessica Huntley I will deal with. So he said, look, you got to hold up on that a bit, because I don't think that they're doing that right now. And we spoke a bit and so on. But the important point is that to me, Jessica Huntley meant a lot. Because here it was that she was publishing something that was very close to me, since I'd been turned on by none other than A.J. Seymour, who I discovered in a garbage bin. I grew, as they say, my navel string was buried at East and Newmarket Street, where I was born. Though my antecedents were Buxton, I was born and I grew at East and Newmarket Street, and one day I'm standing on the road and I have a love for garbage bins. I'm not a crackhead, but in garbage bins there are many treasures. One day I saw the Butler family emptying a set of trash, papers, could tell they were papers or books of some sort, into a garbage bin. So I was curious, because paper and books always got my attention. And I stepped across along the street trench over into the Butler yard, waited until they were upstairs, and then I opened the garbage bin. I found a little volume called Gems. It was edited by A.J. Seymour. That really motivated me also. So anyhow, here it was, meeting publishers, meeting people who were publishing, and being motivated from that very young age. And so, in the celebration of Jessica's life, as a person, as a black woman of conscience, as a woman who has the humanity to reach out to others and to feel for others and to try to change things for others, I scribbled these lines whilst the rain drizzled on my rooftop yesterday afternoon. It's simply entitled, For Jessica Huntley. More than the fury of raging winds, the thunderous alliteration of sound are words, words that you set free, fertilizing billions of minds. Those words will never die. Those paperback-bound words, words of new wisdom, words of Walter Rodney, set free, illustrious volumes, prose, poetry, and the bookshop grows and promulgates the syllabic history. Those words will never die. You too will live on. Live long, my ancestor.